Hello guys, today I want to talk about a theory I've seen floating around the internet for the past few months, which is that supposedly Sky High Sundae was originally designed for Mario Kart World. So let's just do a quick little video where I go over all the arguments I can come up with for and against this theory and see what we think by the end. I should mention, by the way, that just because I explain arguments in this video doesn't mean I actually agree with the stuff I'm saying. I'll give you my own thoughts on this topic towards the end of this video. I think the main reason this idea has gained popularity is because we know Mario Kart World started development in 2017, but Mario Kart Tour didn't release until 2019, and Sky High Sundae itself was only added to the game in 2022. So, without any further context, looking at this timeline, it would make sense for the track to have originally been designed for Mario Kart World sometime before 2022, and then added to Tour and 8 Deluxe retroactively. I guess I should also mention, some people think that because the track was added to 8 Deluxe's booster course pass a few days before Mario Kart Tour, it's technically an 8 Deluxe track. But I'm not even going to entertain that idea because, I mean, just look at it. Okay, so another argument for this theory is that both in Mario Kart Tour and especially 8 Deluxe, the original version of Sky High Sundae felt really strange and janky and just poorly designed in general. From this fence you can clip through to the blind jumps, to the needlessly convoluted split paths, and the lackluster visuals. Maybe all these decisions can be explained by designers having to backport the original Mario Kart World version to their older games. After all, in my opinion, this iteration is much better and has a natural integration of Mario Kart World's new mechanics in a way that could be explained by it having been designed for the game all along. The fence is now a grind rail, the jumps are no longer as blind, the split paths make sense with 24 players, and the visuals look totally fine now. The last argument on this side is that, well, why else would Mario Kart World's designers decide to remake this track specifically? From the way tracks were chosen and especially revealed for the Booster Course Pass, I think it's pretty clear that Nintendo is at least sort of aware of which tracks are and aren't popular among fans. So, ignoring the city tracks, which wouldn't really have worked in the Mushroom Kingdom of Mario Kart World, they were actively choosing to remake arguably the least liked Mario Kart Tour track. Whereas, for example, it would have made much more sense to remake Piranha Plant Pipeline instead, because that track weirdly wasn't even in the Booster Course Pass. So maybe the reason this unpopular track made it into Mario Kart World is because it was designed for the game to begin with, so its reception in Tour and 8 Deluxe was irrelevant. Alright, that's all I could think of in terms of arguments for the theory, so now let's go through the ones against it. First of all, Mario Kart Tour is very specific about how it classifies its original tracks versus tracks that were remade from other games. And of course, Sky High Sundae is classified as an original Tour track. Secondly, the track's integration into Mario Kart World's world doesn't feel super seamless. Because of its name, Sky High Sundae couldn't be put on the ground, and making this candy-covered oval float above the game's normal environments would have looked odd, so it was placed above the ocean. But being stuck in the ocean if you fell off the track during free roam would have been annoying, so this weird empty liminal area had to be added, which only features a bunch of warp pipes to get you back up. I think if the track had been made for Mario Kart World from the start, it would have been designed to fit into the game much more naturally. The last argument against this idea is pretty simple, because why in the world would Nintendo do this? Sure, Nintendo is a weird, confusing company that never quite does what you expect, but I see absolutely no reason why they would randomly decide to pluck a single supposed original Mario Kart World track out of its development phase and haphazardly put it in Mario Kart Tour years before World's release. They didn't promote the track as some sort of sneak preview of their shiny new upcoming Switch 2 game, it's just there like any other track in Mario Kart Tour. And logistically, why would they spend a bunch of development time and money designing an original track for one game, only to devalue that track's inclusion in that game by putting a similar version of the track in a free mobile game and some relatively cheap DLC for a game everyone already owns? It just doesn't make any sense in my opinion. Oh, and I lied. I have one more argument against this theory. Let me show you something. You probably know about the cool shortcut where you drive on this wall that's only in the Mario Kart World version of the track. Well, in Mario Kart Tour and 8 Deluxe, this section was made up of a bunch of cylindrical ice cream cones. But that wouldn't have worked for a wall riding shortcut like this, so in World, in order to both implement the shortcut and keep the original visual design idea, the developer stacked other more flat desserts on top of the ice cream cones. And that just feels like such a typical, weird, nonsensical design decision that can only be the result of a compromise between the visual design of the original track and the gameplay tweaks of a remake of that track, that I think this is pretty concrete proof that the Tour version came first. So, looking at our arguments, was Sky High Sundae originally designed for nope, it definitely wasn't, no. What probably happened is that Sky High Sundae was made for Mario Kart Tour in like 2019, and the decision to add it to World was made before it was even released in Tour or 8 Deluxe. I think the reason the theory is an appealing idea to some is that it just makes for a good story. These developers once made a weirdly bad track for one game, but then years later everything suddenly made sense when it turned out the track had originally been designed for another game where it played much better. It's a cool concept, but extremely unlikely in my opinion. The funny thing is that this would have all been a non-issue if Mario Kart World simply included retro track course prefixes like most other games in the series. Though considering 8 Deluxe also pretended Sky High Sundae wasn't a tour track, maybe Nintendo would have found a way to jumble things up regardless. Either way, that's all I wanted to talk about, so if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like or a comment or subscribing or whatever. I also have a Discord server linked in the description, and you can sign up for a YouTube channel membership to get early access to my videos. Thanks for watching, and bye bye!